Greetings, gorgeous beings of light from the spectacular Gold Coast hinterland in Queensland, Australia. My name is Elmara and I'm coming to you with 100 miracles in 100 days. And today we're up to miracle number 75. Take a big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Letting go of everything outside this moment. Filling your tummy up and your lungs fully. Bringing your awareness into this present moment. Who can believe we've only got like 25 more to go, or 26 including today. So, okay. So today's miracle is going to follow on from yesterday's Dyslexia Miracle. But before I do that, I just want to explain a couple of things that are really important to what's going on in the world at the moment. So huge shifts are happening. But we also have the opportunity to step fully into our light right at this time. You have an opportunity to boot out all of the freeloaders you have, and we all have them. I would have said that I didn't have any entities or beings, that are not in my highest good within my being, because I meditate for, sometimes 5 to 10 hours a day. But a couple of nights ago, 3 nights ago, I decided to do my very famous God Blast, it's called. And it's where I command the power of God to wake up inside of me now, and then to delete, dissolve, destroy, or transmute back to source light any entities, attachments, any curses, anything, any vows of poverty, chastity and obedience, any healer's oaths and warrior's oaths. Just get rid of them all. And I began to yawn. That went on for about an hour, but I woke up on that day that I couldn't speak a couple of days ago. And I didn't do the miracle until 11 p.m. at night because I just couldn't think of one. And I can't even remember now what I did. But when you have that shift in consciousness into this present moment, please don't think that you got dementia and you lose your mind. It really is because you're in this present moment. And I was in that state for about 2 days. I woke up yesterday morning still in that state. I had another God Blast the night before that. And but I decided to do my miracle. That's why it was a really simple one yesterday. And sorry, I just need to release myself while I was telling that story. And so I woke up yesterday in that same state, but did the miracle. But about 10 p.m. last night, so almost 2 days later, 48 hours later, I felt this shift happen. And not usually, but sometimes, I have these big shifts. Then you feel like it sinks back down. You've got more stuff to do, and you sink back down. It's got more stuff to do when you come out of whatever it is you've done. But last night that didn't happen. Last night I felt this shift, and I felt like I shifted into much more of my power, that I wasn't going backwards and forwards. So because I said I would finish off yesterday's miracle today, I'm going to do that. But tomorrow I'm going to do a God Blast for everybody, which will be away from the miracles. It is a miracle how it happened. It is a miracle how the God Blast came into being back in 2013, 2014. And lots of miracles happen with people and myself after. Anyway, I'll tell that story tomorrow in the God Blast. And just breathe. Keep breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Remember, there is high frequency source codes embedded in my voice to bring your stuff, in inverted commas, to the surface so that you could just breathe through them. The greatest gift these miracles are is that I'm just telling you a lovely story, but I've done the hours of meditation today. I've done 5 before I do this. That enables you to just breathe and listen to a lovely story and release your stuff that you've got going on that is out of alignment with this moment. So the trick is to continue doing it daily. But people don't. They quit after about 5 days, and you're really just quitting on yourself. They go, it's boring, it's this or that. Well, the boring bit is the boring bits in you coming up. So, but you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. It's the easiest thing you'll ever do. I charge hundreds of thousands of dollars, well not hundreds of thousands, but tens of thousands of dollars for my training work. And you can have it all for free if you just show up. And that's the reason why people, when you do stuff for free, people just don't value it. They just treat it like it's free instead of as if they paid $100,000 for it. So anyway, I wanted to say that I wanted to finish off this miracle. I'll do a God blast. If you can't wait, you could do a search, and I did a God blast. It was a silent one, and I'll probably still do a silent one tomorrow because they're pretty intimidating, especially the spokes. And you could hear in the middle of that other one. If you Google it, is what I want to say. If you do a search within my this channel, my YouTube channel, just put God Blast in, and it will come up. And it's about 20 minutes long. You can have a listen to that if you want to, but otherwise we'll be doing one tomorrow. You can hear in that one, but there's a point there where I command the entities to leave on the count of 3, and I'm not saying 1, 2, 3, but I am to myself, and when I clap really loudly, like all the spooks that just jump out of me, scare all the blooming cockies or galahs, the pink and grey galahs that were in a tree not far away from me. So proof, absolute proof that we carry entities in us, and it's a good thing to keep ourselves cleaned at all times. I also just want to mention that it's really important to be really wary, excuse me, sorry, be really wary of people claiming to be spiritual or psychic or whatever, or gifted, even gifted. Just be wary of people who claim to be that. Yesterday, I very seldom work with people on Facebook anymore because of this. But I was told by source to turn my phone on or pick up my phone. I did. The first thing that was in my feed was from this lovely girl. I guess I could just use the name Tiffany because there's thousands of Tiffany's in the world, who was asking for a reading in this group called Gifted Psychics, Mediums and Readers. That was the name of the group. So I got 771 people in it, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But there's a reason why they've only got 771 people in it, I would say. And she had lost her partner a year ago. And I explained to her that he was around her still and that he can't reach her because of her grief. And I could see that she knew that he was around her, but she was torn between that because of what people were actually saying to her. So I tell her that. She comes back and says, thank you, leaves a lovely reply. But I go back and say to her, and she goes, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, the most important thing you have to remember is that he hasn't left you. Your relationship has changed, but he's never left you. He's still there by your side. Next thing, when I went to go back and just check if she had responded to me, I couldn't find the information. It had been deleted. And I'd been booted out of the bloody group. Do you believe that? A group of gifted psychics, readers, and whatever, psychics, mediums, and readers. That's what they called themselves, gifted, for goodness sake. So I tracked her down and just said to her, did you have a problem with what I said to you? I'd spent a good half an hour of my time helping this girl for free, and she came back and said, no, not at all. Let me go check it out. She goes and checks. She goes, oh, they've booted me out of the group as well. How disgusting is that? There's a gorgeous young woman desperately seeking answers, which proves you shouldn't seek answers outside of yourself, really. Your wisdom and everything is within you. I'm personally, I'm not big on people speaking to psychics and mediums unless they really are empowering you to find the knowledge within yourself, because otherwise you're just giving your power away to them all the time. So, but anyway, I was guided to help Tiffany. I did, and that was the responsibility. These people called themselves gifted, for goodness sake. What a lot of phooey. If you're going to call yourself a gifted psychic, medium or reader, for God's sake, will you act like one? That's the crap that's slowing down the awakening that's happening on Earth. Step up, for goodness sake. Step up into your light and stop that rubbish. And if you don't know how to do that, ask for help. Or listen to my free 100 Miracles in 100 Days project. It's up to you. But it really is about everything you see in the outside world is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. And when you're really, really powerful, and actually when Tiffany came back and said, people have been doing that to me all my life, I said, oh, don't worry, darling, I'm in my 60s, I know exactly what you mean. When you're a powerful being on earth, or when you are one of the true spiritual people, the fake ones are going to try and shoot you down time and time again. Happened early, it wasn't early this year because it's now the next year. Around August, September last year, I had a bunch of them try and gang up on me. So if you're strong and you're powerful, people will try and knock you down. Don't let them. Don't let them. Tell them to fuck off would be my advice to you. Don't take shit from anyone. That was our first rule. Well, our first rule is get a relationship with God, whatever you perceive him or her or it to be. Number 2, don't take shit from anyone. And number 3, most important rule of all, if it's not your shit, don't pick it up. Don't pick it up. Don't look backwards. Know that it's not yours. If you know it's not yours, the minute you start to interact with them going, oh, did I do something wrong? Then they'll just find something else to point the finger at you about. If they're in their power, they would never have done that shit in the first place. So I'm sorry to sound a little passionate, but I'm really passionate about that. And I guess I'm not cross about what these people do. But what about, this is the bit, there's a lovely, bright soul whose partner passes away in order for her to step fully into her light. What about if those so-called gifted psychics had given her a hard time? There's no other reason for them to have kicked both of us. You can understand maybe if they didn't like what I said, kicking me out of the group. But to kick her out of the group as well, that's just ridiculous. It's like childish behaviour. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more about that. I'm going to quickly tell you the rest of the dyslexia story, again to tell you that you could be different and you can be challenged by even your own family. So I may have mentioned yesterday or may not, I couldn't read very well because I was dyslexic. And I used to thought I was cheating on my English exams and got myself to be an advanced student by just using my intuitive skills to find the answer in the book, because I was much rather being out playing than reading 10 pages or 20 pages a week or whatever you were supposed to do for the reading homework. But I was in my early 20s, still not able to read well. That's why I prefer to leave voice messages for people. And because and I prefer to use my voice rather than write. Because it's just easier for me than typing. My typing, I have to spend hours, correcting all my mistakes. And anyone who knows me well is that after a while when you know me, I just don't correct them. Because they say that we're so intelligent, so long as all the letters are right, you'll interpret what the right word is anyway. Your brain is so intelligent, it can do that. But I remember I read my first spiritual book I was about 25 years old. But in some of my studies and my growing, I learnt somewhere that if you could read a book upside down, then you were partially dyslexic or a bit dyslexic. I hadn't remembered all the other stuff at that point about my childhood. I remembered it, but I didn't put it all together. And so I turned the book upside down that I was trying to read, that was a spiritual book, and I could read it much clearer and much easier upside down than I could up the right way. And I was like, oh, wow, So I started doing Qigong and Tai Chi, because the reason it happens is because the crossover in the brain doesn't happen. That makes sense, because I walked at 8 months old, because my mum was training my brother and I was toilet trained and walking at 8 months old because my mother was teaching my brother, who was 15 months older than me, to do all that, and I just copied him. But the trouble with walking that early is the crossover from the crawling in your brain doesn't happen properly. So I started doing Tai Chi and Qigong, and that helped that immensely. I think I started doing Tai Chi to begin with. I went on to do Qigong in my 30s or something, because I found it more effective even. But this is the bit that I wanted you to know, and I may or may not have told you this before. Around 25 years of age, I went for my first corporate job. A man said to me, oh God, you should be in sales. You could bloody talk the leg off a horse, and you could sell ice to the Eskimos and rice to the Chinese. So I applied for a sales job, got it, was so friggin' excited because I doubled my salary. Turns out I was a fabulous salesperson. But before I got that job, they made me do a psych test. And this psych test was to evaluate whether I had the capacity to do the job. It came back saying that I was in the top 3% of intelligent people in the world. I mean, I just didn't even believe it, but I didn't care because I got the job. I just thought, oh, bloody psych's made a mistake, And then I went on, after 12 months, somebody else poached me because business went from having 9 staff to 41 staff in the time that I worked there, because I was creating so much incoming funds. We were responsible for promoting the computer training courses, which are not such a big deal now, but they were back then. People, they'd make $400, $500 for a 2-day training course. When I got to the company, they were lucky if they ran a training course once a week, twice a week, sometimes once every 3 weeks. By the time after a year of being there, they were fully booked. They had 3 or 4 training rooms running, and they were fully booked a month in advance, and that was all cash money. There'd be 10 people in a course, so it'd be $4,000. If they had 3 rooms running, they'd be making $12,000, every couple of days. So turn their company around in a massive, massive way. They had to take on more trainers, that just expanded into everything else, like the computer engineering part where they fixed the computers expanded. The peripherals part where they sold all the bits and pieces that go with computers expanded, and the actual selling of the computers expanded. It just expanded exponentially, and someone poached me. Again, they do a psych test. Says I'm in the top 1% of intelligent people in the world. It's like, oh my God, what's going on here? Next one, I do about 4 or 5 times I got poached, was earning more money than a doctor back then. And each time they did a test, I had 5 of those psych tests done before I quit doing that and when I started doing spiritual work. And each and every one of them said that I was in the top, I think there was a couple that said top 1%, a couple that said top 3%, and one that said the top 5% of intelligent people in the world. Took all of those tests for me to realise that maybe my father was wrong, and I don't know if I said that earlier. My father used to say, would yell at me and tell me that I was dumb and that I was stupid because I couldn't read properly, without even fucking looking into whether I may have been dyslexic or anything. But that's just, also I'm not kind of mad because, we're 60 years ago when those labels and stuff didn't exist anyway. And so, and because I had this other capacity, I didn't look like someone who had trouble learning, because I would use, and I was an advanced mathematics student. I understood maths just like that. I don't think I do now, but I did back then. And, but I used these intuitive gifts to find answers. And it put me in, the top 50% of advanced children rather than the bottom. And so that's why the dyslexia wasn't picked up. while I was at school. But as I said, 5 tests all said top 50%, or top 5% of intelligent people in the world. And it took me a while to recognise that intelligence is to do with your ability to get along with many different peoples, not to do with your intellectual ability, which is just regurgitated information from somebody else. It's the ability to think for yourself, to make decisions for yourself, and to accept many different people instead of it just being one kind of people. So just quickly, if you breathe, so that's the end of my miracle for today. If you just breathe in and connect to the sun, breathe out that energy, this earth, the sun energy into your body, breathe out, take the last 5% into the earth, breathe in and bring that energy from earth back up. Breathe the earth energy into your body, breathe out, last 5% up to the sun. Breathe in, bring golden source light from the sun. Breathe out, breathe in earth energy with all the minerals and nutrients. Breathe out back up to the sun. So that's just the first step. If you want to clear it, just listen to one of the other recordings. I just didn't want this to go for a long, long time. So I'm just now going to send you, that's it, just breathe in and out. Bring yourself into alignment with the earth and the sun, and it will realign all your meridian lines and chakras with the earth and the sun as well. And you can ask, how can I manifest $10,000 or whatever it is that you want in this place? So now just take a big breath in. Let go of anything that's outside this moment. You can breathe in through your nose and out through your nose while I just give you a little 20-second blast of this gorgeous, it's way beyond fifth dimension, but we'll send you some quantum energy, which is embedded all the way through it anyway. Okay, gorgeous beings of light, sending you so much love and blessings. I look forward to talking with you again soon. Bye for now.